This video is brought to you by Diamond Cinemas. With newly remodeled stadium seating, you can feel the sound. It's 100% digital. Call 951-245-4298.
So when people talk about dust coming off the project and dust coming over Temecula, the amount of PM10 we generate is very small, and it stays on site. And when you compare it to the amount of PM10 that's generated in the city of Temecula by I-15, by a home improvement store, by a shopping mall, by the Red Hawk community, it's negligible. That's
Tell me, what does that PM10 stand for?
It's a 10 micron size, and 10 microns.
Of what kind of particles?
Particulate matter.
Particulate matter. Yep. That's what I wanted to hear.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, it's particulate matter.
Got it.
And there's, the concern is particulate matter gets into your lungs, and it.
Yes, I understand.
So that's why there's a lot of concern.
That's the silica, the particulate matter that they're talking about that is so dangerous and can cause death. Is the kind of. And
a certain percentage of the PM10 is PM2.5, and a certain percentage of the PM2.5 is crystalline silica, and it's a very small percentage.
I got it.
Now the engineers have done an analysis of, okay, if this site was operating at maximum worst case operating conditions, what's the level of increase of crystalline silica, or what's the level of crystalline silica at our project boundary, which would be, or our property line, which would be, anywhere around here. And the state has set a level of 3 microns, and if you're below 3 microns with crystalline silica in the air, it's considered safe. It's not considered to be an adverse health effect. And the levels that the models have generated, and it's supported by evidence of monitoring other facilities, is 1% of that. So it's a very low level. And we had an epidemiologist, Dr. Pat Hessel, who looked at the data and wrote a report. He's well recognized in looking at crystalline silica issues. And he concluded there's absolutely no risk to residents around the site from crystalline silica. Crystalline silica is an occupational illness. It's unfortunate that people that work in countertop factories, especially years ago where there was no controls at all, and they worked in it, grinding it, breathing the stuff day in and day out, they have had problems. They have had silicosis and resulting in death or acute illness. It's happened. Jim Owning, who's on the Fallbrook Community Planning Group, his son passed away of that. Jim's very passionate about it. I understand him being very passionate. If my son died from that, I would too. But it's not because it was an environmental, breathing it in ambient air conditions. It was an occupational illness. It's really not an issue. Granite's been mining in the quarry business for 50, 60, 70 years, and to our knowledge, we have never had an employee become ill from silicosis. It doesn't happen in our industry. And then this is what the site will look like. Although this berm will be higher, there's some houses. The only houses that can see into the site are back down in Fallbrook. So there'll be a visual berm put up here. But within the site itself, there'll be a water tank, administration building. This is what the primary crusher will look like. And then we'll start mining back in this direction to the north. So we'll mine back in this direction. This is what we saw as the aggregate plant up there will be enclosed with crusher and screen towers, and then the various size products: sand, 3/8, half, 3/4, 1, 1.5. Asphalt plant, 2 asphalt plants here, concrete plant on this side, and we'll mine back in this direction. Now we own property that extends out into here, and we own property that extends down. We're not mining the entire site, and the reason is there's a natural ridge line that runs like this and then runs north. And from by staying behind that ridge line, people driving up and down the freeway will not be able to see the operations. People in Temecula will not see any change in what they're looking up at the mountains. It's all hidden from view. So then after about 20 years of mining this way, we actually, I should have left that there, but the plant stays here and we actually go back and go deeper and go down that deep. It's 1,000 feet from right here to the bottom. Wow. And then we move the plant equipment and we mine back in this direction. The trucks will then come in and they'll actually corkscrew down into here where they'll be loaded out with concrete and asphalt and come out. All the mining will be done down below.
About what year is this?
Oh, year 40, 45, 44. And then the final reclamation plant, after mining is finished, is proposed for raw water storage. Similar if you're familiar with the Dominguez Reservoir. Diamond Lake? Yeah. Now Diamond Lake. And then this is ultimately what it would look like. Now, two of the things I know already from the technical report is they recommend that the mining stop right here and not proceed to the southwest because of possible visual impacts to a resident that lives about a half-mile this direction. So we would stop it right here. And the other thing they recommend is pulling back from the north boundary 400 feet because of possible noise impacts to the Santa Margarita Reserve, which the boundary is right here. This screen tower, the screen out material, then it goes to a crusher and makes material, and then it stockpiles it into 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch or 3/8 inch.
And at Liberty, like Julie was asking, all this stuff will be enclosed.
Yeah, that screen tower will actually be, it'll look like a metal building. You won't see stairs on the outside. You won't be able to see the screen unit on top. The conveyors will be covered.
Which cuts the noise and the dust.